to expedite consideration of these 5 petitions and table the reports thereon. I urge other standing committees to process the petitions referred to them within 60-day period as per the provision of Standing Order number 238-2. Excuse me. Of course, we have said times without number, Mr. Speaker, that while 60 days is a ceiling, you don't have to wait up to the 60th day. If as a committee you're diligent enough and you conclude on a petition, the earlier the better. Kenyans feel better served by this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, statements are increasingly being sought pursuant to Standing Order number 53 and other issued pursuant to Standing Order number 52. I urge the various standing committees to promptly consider the statements and report back to the House with mechanisms provided under our standing orders. Several questions, Mr. Speaker, have been filed and approved by the Speaker and subsequently have been conveyed to the respective Cabinet Secretary. At its meeting held on Tuesday, the 18th of April, 2023, the SBC approved the first set of questions to appear in the order paper for Wednesday, the 26th of April, 2023, in the morning sitting. The summary of the questions and Cabinet Secretaries to appear on the day as follows. Question number 1 by Senator Dr. Leleguel Tumbesi to the Cabinet Secretary of Interior and National Administration to respond on the state of security and resettlement of displaced persons in Samburu County. Question number 2 by Senator Fatuma Dulo to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works and Housing and Urban Development to respond on disparity in compensation to the residents of Nuno, Modogashe and Isiolo, who are affected by the Africa Gateway Project. Number 3, statement by Fatuma Dulo to the Cabinet Secretary of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs to respond and lifting of moratorium on the issuance of mineral mining rights. Mr. Speaker, very important statements. I know there are people who have interest in mining in this House, and I have seen them occasionally come to me and say, what can we do to unlock this blanket ban? We'll be listening to the Cabinet Secretary on that day. There are many counties. Kisii is one such example in my own county of Kericho, and so many counties, Mr. Speaker, Makueni, that have interest in mining. And this is a very important question that has been brought by Senator Fatuma Dulo. Senator Veronica Maina to the Cabinet Secretary of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime to respond on exploration of offshore gas and oil. Then Senator Veronica Maina also to the Cabinet Secretary still on Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs to respond on the exploration of maritime produce and participation of local fishermen in the maritime exclusive economic zone. Mr. Speaker, those are questions that have been filed by members. There are others which subsequently we shall file before the committee. I urge honourable senators whose questions will be scheduled to appear to avail themselves in the chamber to prosecute the same. Appreciating that this will be the Senate will implement the provisions for Standing Order 51A to D, I urge all the honourable senators to familiarize themselves with the standing orders and guidelines issued by the Speaker on the processing of questions. Mr. Speaker, perhaps maybe what you could do, and this is to our Secretariat, is that on the Tuesday, the 25th, we could actually still avail either hard copy or soft copy of the Speaker's rules on appearance of Cabinet Secretaries so that we can guide our colleagues on how to conduct that particular business, especially given that it will be the first time that Cabinet Secretaries will be appearing before the House. On Tuesday, the 25th April, Mr. Speaker, the Senate Business Committee will consider and approve business of the day. This will contain business that will not have been concluded from today's order paper and any other business scheduled by the SBC. The order paper for Wednesday 26th and for Thursday 27th will contain business that will not be concluded on Tuesday 25th April 2023 and on Wednesday 26th April 2023. The SBC will also schedule any other business pursuant to the standing orders. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and hereby lay the statement on the table of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before we move to the next order, 3 statements by Senator Hamida Kibwana had been dropped because when they were called out, the senator was not in the chamber. However, the honorable senator has approached me. She has explained why she was not in the chamber when those three statements were called out. Indeed, she was held up in a parliamentary business, and for that reason, I will direct that the three statements by Senator Hamida Kibwana be reinstated in today's order paper and allow her to proceed to prosecute her statements. Senator Kibwana, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much for the consideration, and sorry for the inconvenience.
What is the point of order?
I would have not wished to...
Just have your seat, Senator.
I would not have wished to disrupt my sister, Senator Hamida, but I'm looking at the standing orders, Mr. Speaker. Senator Richard Onyonka is a seasoned member of this Senate, Mr. Speaker, and he has stood between me and you and has crossed over the floor twice. I thought the first time it was a mistake, but he crossed over from there, then he went back, and I think that is grossly out of order.
Senator, indeed, that act made you to be out of order. I'm going to proceed to caution you for the day. Any other opportunity you'll have where you'll be out of order, you know the consequences. Kindly, Senator Kibwana, proceed. What is the point of order, and what standing order are you standing?
I'm referring, Mr. Speaker, to your rules, the Speaker's rule number 5.
Yes.
The last time I was here, you referred to a counter suit as a suit that has a button to the neck. I'm looking at, again, the person that you have cautioned, and I think he's not properly dressed. He's now dressing now.
Senator Metho, the senator for Kisii is properly dressed.
Okay. No, he's dressing in the chamber.
Senator Hamida, kindly proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'll proceed with the statements. The first statement is on Mukumu girls. Urgent action in ensuring health and safety in all our schools following the tragedy of Mukumu Girls High School. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52.1 to make a statement, a matter of national concern, namely a call for urgent action in ensuring health and safety in all our schools following the tragedy at Mukumu Girls High School. Mr. Speaker, I stand before you today with a heavy heart, deeply saddened and concerned by the tragic events that had transpired at Mukumu Girls High School. This devastating incident had led to the loss of 4 innocent lives following the infection of scores of students from alleged contaminated food and water. We send our heartfelt sympathies to the families and loved ones of the students affected by this tragedy during this difficult time. Mr. Speaker, following discussions between the two schools, the Ministry of Education and the county government, the closure of Mukumu Girls High School and dissolution of board was deemed essential in the wake of this situation. This is simply a short-term solution. Nevertheless, we must take immediate action as community leaders and representatives to guarantee the long-lasting improvements are done to offer a secure learning environment for all pupils. Mr. Speaker, over the past few weeks, many students have been admitted to hospitals due to the symptoms like nausea, dizziness, and diarrhea. Health officials initially suspected a cholera outbreak when 124 children from the Kakamega County School were hospitalized at the Kakamega County General Teaching and Referral Hospital in the late March. Fortunately, tests revealed that cholera was not present, although food poisoning was still a risk. Mr. Speaker, this incident at Mukumu Girls High School is not the first of its kind. According to reports, a similar tragedy claimed the lives of 2 children at the same school in 2022. The fact that these outbreaks continue occurring shows that immediate action is required to address the underlying issues. Mr. Speaker, in order to ensure that our kids can pursue their education without jeopardizing their health or safety, we must work together. I urge a comprehensive and open inquiry of these instances, both recent and historic, as well as prompt implementation of the suggestions provided by quality assurance officers following the tragedy of 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, I implore the Ministry of Education, the county government, and the school administration to work together in addressing this issue and implementing the necessary improvements to safeguard the health of our students. This includes regular inspections of food and water sources, stricter hygiene standards, and the establishment of a system to monitor and report potential hazards. Mr. Speaker, sir, further, it is essential that we provide adequate resources and support to schools, equally in rural areas, to ensure that they have the necessary infrastructure and facilities to maintain high standards of cleanliness and safety. This includes access to clean water, proper sanitation facilities, and well-maintained kitchens and dining areas. Mr. Speaker, sir, education is fundamental right for every child, and it is our duty as leaders and representatives to create a safe and conducive environment for learning. We must also work to raise awareness among students, staff, and parents about the importance of maintaining proper hygiene and reporting any signs of illness or potential hazards. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, the tragic events at Mukumu Girls High School serve as a sobering reminder of the critical need to address our children's health and safety in schools across the nation. It is our obligation to make sure that every child has the opportunity to grow and learn in a safe setting, free and the fear of illness or harm. Mr. Speaker, sir, let us rally together, committed to ensuring the safety of our children, and fight tirelessly to bring about long-lasting improvements that will help future generations, that will benefit generations to come. I thank you. I will proceed with the second statement. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to bring to attention the election of officials of the Women's Caucus, Kenya, Women Senators Association, KEWOSA. Mr. Speaker, the following senators were duly elected. I, as yours truly, the chairperson of KEWOSA. Number 2, Deputy Chairperson, Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Secretary, Senator Beth Siengo. Treasurer, Senator Mariam Omar. And the 5th, as organizing secretary, Senator Esther Okenyuri. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is at most pleasure to address this esteemed House and congratulate each one of these incredible women leaders. As we embark on this journey together, I want to emphasize to our priority areas that will guide our work as a caucus. Mr. Speaker, women's rights and empowerment are essential to achieving social justice, economic prosperity, and political stability. This association has a unique opportunity to make a difference in the lives of women and vulnerable groups across our great country. We will work to promote women's participation in political and public life, to increase women's and vulnerable groups' representation in decision-making positions, and to support women's as well as vulnerable groups' economic and social empowerment. We will work tirelessly to ensure that these issues remain at the forefront of our national agenda. Mr. Speaker, sir, water security is a critical issue in Kenya, with many communities facing challenges such as water scarcity, pollution, and inadequate infrastructure to support water supply and sanitation services. To address this issue, KEWOSA seeks to promote water security in several ways, including advocating for policies and legislation that promote water security, support women, vulnerable groups, and other stakeholders in helping them to improve their knowledge and skills in areas such as water management and conservation, leverage resources and expertise to improve water security, educating communities on the impact of pollution on water resources, and promoting the use of sustainable water management practices. Mr. Speaker, sir, KEWOSA as a key stakeholder in the health sector has a critical role to play in initial and advocating for health policies that prioritize the needs and well-being of women and vulnerable groups. To effectively initiate health policies, we will engage in various activities such as conducting research in women's health issues, analyzing health data, and identifying gaps and opportunities for policy interventions. Mr. Speaker, sir, for security, food security is a fundamental issue in Kenya, with many families struggling to access sufficient and nutritious food. To address this issue, in the association will work to promote food security in several ways. We will introduce policies and legislation that promote food security, for example, on increased funding for agriculture, improved infrastructure to support food production and distribution, as well as to initiate measures to address climate change and its impact on food production. We shall also support youth, women farmers, and other stakeholders in the agriculture sector by providing training and capacity building programs to help them improve their agriculture practices, increase their yields and enhance their incomes, build partnerships with local and international organizations to support initiatives such as the establishment of community gardens in informal settlements and the distribution of food aid to vulnerable families. Mr. Speaker, sir, KEWOSA recognizes the importance of gender-inclusive policies that address the specific needs and challenges faced by women and vulnerable groups in different regions and communities. To this end, we will strive to ensure that the two-thirds gender principle is fully realized. We admit that there is need to create a more enabling environment for women's political participation, including addressing the cultural and structural barriers that limit women's access to political power. Mr. Speaker, we will advocate for the development and implementation of gender-sensitive policies across all sectors. We acknowledge the critical importance of a gender-sensitive budget-making process in advancing women's and vulnerable groups' rights and empowerment. We will work to ensure that the national and county budgets reflect the needs and priorities of women and vulnerable groups across the country. As a chairperson, I pledge to work closely with all legislators to promote the interests and well-being of women and vulnerable groups in Kenya. We will strive to build a strong and effective association that advocates for gender equality, women and vulnerable groups empowerment, and the realization of women's and vulnerable groups' rights. Mr. Speaker, sir, we will engage with government agencies, the Kenya Women Parliamentarians Association, KEWOPA, civil society organizations, and international partners to build partnership and leverage resources. We will seek to promote public awareness and education on women and vulnerable groups issues and foster a culture of respect, tolerance, and inclusiveness. Finally, I believe that our strength as a caucus lies in our diversity as well as your guidance and support. Mr. Speaker, I am committed to ensuring that each of our voices is heard and valued. Together, we can make a significant impact in advancing women's and vulnerable groups' rights, and I am excited to lead us forward on this journey. As I conclude, I am delighted about the opportunities and challenges ahead, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you, honorable senators, to advance the cause of women in Kenya. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. The last but not the least, it's a short statement, Mr. Speaker, on dental and optical healthcare treatment for Kenyans on the national NHIF cover. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding dental and optical health care treatment for Kenyans on the National Hospital Insurance Fund, NHIF cover. In the statement, the committee should explain why the NHIF excludes a section of its registered members from accessing dental and optical health care from the NHIF cover, and state plans, if any, put in place by the Ministry of Health to ensure all Kenyans registered with the NHIF get access to dental and optical health care treatment through the NHIF cover. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator, proceed to make your statement pursuant to Standing Order 53.1. You have a statement to...
I've done all the three.
You've done all the three?
Yes,
now, honorable senators, I will allow comments on her statement pursuant to Standing Order 53.1. The first two statements that have been made under Standing Order 52 are statements of general topical concern, and they do not, under our standing orders, attract comments. So the senators I'm seeing on the dashboard, please restrict your comments on the third statement by the honorable senator. Senator Manzo Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate your direction and the good understanding of the standing orders and the matter which has been presented by Senator Hamida, who has been very thorough on the Nintendo issue. Mr. Speaker, that has tended to be left out when it comes to insurance, when it comes to children, when it comes to implementation. And a lot of times, young people, especially children, suffer, on dental issues, especially after the first set of teeth is gone during the second one. And that determines how that person looks in terms of the dental development the rest of their lives. And if they don't get good care in proper hospitals and with the proper insurance, then they may end up even, looking differently or having missy teeth and without monies to replace, or it be difficult. So the world over is encouraging people to, to repair teeth instead of removing them, which has been a practice. And I think through the medical profession, they have managed to get it right in that. And a lot of populace have not yet learned that particular practice, but a lot of practitioners will discourage, the removal of teeth as it were previously, but insist on repair so that it can be maintained using modern technology. But again, it's a matter, Mr. Speaker, which has to be relooked at and health be devolved. Not many hospitals have the full capacity. And finally, we don't train, as a country, we don't seem to train enough dentists in this particular field. So we want to encourage the scholars, the new, people go to university now, also to study dentistry so that we can have enough dentists for our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kathuri.
Honorable Speaker, You made a ruling, but I didn't want them to congratulate the Gracious Ladies upon after the elections. You know, KEWOSA, Kenya Women Senators Association, is a good thing, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, you know,
Senator, you
if you can indulge me 1
outside
minute,
the chamber, but for now, just proceed to restrict your comments.
because I wanted to see whether you can start Kewoma. And Mr. Speaker, I wanted to propose also we come up with the Kenya Men Senators Association, because the groups she is targeting as the chair and does not include men. It's the women affairs and other vulnerable groups. So I thought we can start our association with Oburu Ondinga as our chairman. And then also this young senator, Senator Medu, to be his secretary. So that now we can start also planning our things, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Olekina.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I rise to support the statement by Senator Hamida on the mysterious disease in Kakamega County that has forced two schools.
Honorable Senator, I've directed how we should.
But I requested that, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, but look at your standing orders. The only statements that attract comments from senators are statements made pursuant to Standing Order 53.
That's
statement.
That's 53-1, Mr.
No,
Speaker.
it's not. That statement touching on Mukumu girls was made under Standing Order 52-1.
It is 53-1.
No. It's 52-1. Yeah.
That's fine.
So restrict yourself to dental matters.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. Thank you for
and maybe as you're talking dental,
thank you for correcting.
You can couch your statements
I'll find a way to navigate myself
Proceed.
The
I don't
very
need to teach you. I don't need to teach you to do it.
Mr. Speaker,
Proceed.
I rise to support this very important statement that has been raised in terms of discrimination of services that are offered by NHIF to its members. Mr. Speaker, in Kakamega County, the levels of fluorides in water is of great concern. In fact, if you look at most people, not only Kakamega, but also part of Narok, you'll see a lot of people whose teeth are yellow because of fluoride content in water. Mr. Speaker, in Kakamega County, the exploration of minerals in that county is quite high. And the level of toxicity and minerals in water is something which should worry this country. It is above international standards. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of the Health Committee, and I hope that when we'll be looking at this, we can dip further, and I would hope that the committee would investigate further on whether the Ministry of Health, and also to a greater extent to the National Intelligence Service, has got a topographic and also details on the metals that exist underneath that should concern this country. We see a lot of mysterious diseases. Your teeth can be discolored to a point where when you try to bite some meat, those teeth disappear because of the issue of discoloration of your water, because of the water. Water in this country is something that most of us do not really look into, but it's something which should become a concern. We have turned this country into a country that depends on pesticides. We have moved away from organic matters. So all these agricultural activities on a daily basis, Mr. Speaker, end up, whenever you spread, or rather fertilizers, or you spread pesticides in our agricultural land, there's a lot of seepage of toxicity that infects and also actually destroy our water sources. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that the committee can be able to tell us Why is it that NHIF decided that we cannot cover, dental? Is it because there's a high concentration of arsenic metals in our water? Is it because the HP, or rather the pH level of our water is something where it cannot be controlled, or is it because it is going to be very expensive? Because I would expect that in any public institution, such as a school, like the one in Kakamega, for instance, Mr. Speaker, before students would be allowed to drink that water, at least invest a little bit on a reverse osmosis.
What is the point of
system.
order, Senator Osotsi?
Mr. Speaker, I'm just concerned that my good friend and the whip, minority whip, is making references to Kakamega, which is my neighboring county, as the only county that has problems with dental and optical issues. I'm concerned because this is a national problem. It's not limited to Kakamega only, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ledama, the chair is aware of what you're trying to do. Kindly restrict yourself to the statement, the third statement by Honorable Hamida. Let your comments be restricted to that.
Mr. Speaker, I'll be guided. But I just want to tell my chair of PEAK that it is a fact that the high level of minerals in Kakamega County is something which should concern this country, especially when it comes to the issue of water. And this water, Mr. Speaker, is the one that ends up discoloring teeth, such that NHIF is seeing as if it is going to be such a huge burden to be able to cover. So, Mr. Speaker, although I really wanted, I wanted to really comment on this issue of Mukumu girls that now you've told me that I cannot comment on because it was a general statement. I hope that at least we can be able to interrogate this issue, and to a great extent. And I want to invite the intelligence service at least to guide us in this country so that we can be able, the problem is this. And let me speak for myself and maybe now to my brother's county, Kakamega. Because of our level of poverty and because of lack of resources in this country, we end up drinking
Senator
waters.
Enoch, what is your point of order?
The Speaker, I rise on Standing Order 120 on issues of relevance. The Speaker, clearly the whip is struggling to drive home a point. The Speaker, just to refresh his mind, the statement sought by Senator Hamida, which he is supposed to be commenting on under Standing Order 53, is about NHIF and the fact that they are not covering dental health. I don't know where the issues of DCI come in, mineral exploration. Mr. Speaker, can you beat the Senator back to order, please?
Senator Ledama, indeed you're out of order. Kindly confine yourself and conclude your comments on the third statement.
Mr. Speaker, as I conclude my third statement, my dear brother should take judicial notice that the National Intelligence Services is not just for rumor mongering or anything, but it's for them to be able to advance this country on what is available in this country, whether it is good or
Senator
bad.
Ledama,
as I conclude,
what is the relevance?
The relevance
of this
Mr.
on
Speaker,
NHIF?
yes,
and data?
I'll be more than happy to qualify my statement, Mr. Speaker, on the relevance.
Just conclude.
The relevance is on the issue of water. The quality of water that we consume in this country is what discolors teeth, and that is why NHIF, I'm just saying, and hypothetically, Mr. Speaker, when you give us time to be able to comment on this statement, we either seek clarification from the sponsoring senator, or we seek more interrogation of other areas by the committee. So, Mr. Speaker, as I prosecute that last point, so that because now you've denied me an opportunity.
Just conclude.
As I conclude,
because clearly you're struggling.
I would like the committee to investigate the reasons why NHIF has decided to limit the services that their members get, yet we pay a lot of money. Is it because of bad water, or what is it because of it? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tabitha.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I'm only surprised to see a senator that has been in this house, a senator that has admired all this time, to come into this house and copy him, talking on an issue that he doesn't know how serious it is, that when I'm seated there, coming from Nakuru County, I feel like crying. Thank you, Senator Hamida, for bringing this motion, because Nakuru County is one of the counties that has been affected by the water. I'm only lucky that I came to Naivasha. I'm only lucky that I came to Naivasha when I had just finished my school. Otherwise, I'm sure I could not be having the teeth that I have. All the people that come from Naivasha, all their teeth are brown. They are all brown. So when you talk of the Kakamega and you are next to a Kakamega senator there, whose teeth can be sold to Naivasha, or is here. So in short, thank you, Hamida. We in Naivasha, the people of Nakuru, the Naivasha people, use 3/4 of their salary to maintain their children's teeth. And I know that prevention is better than cure. What Senator Hamida has brought on the floor of the House, thank you so much, Senator Hamida, but we should incorporate in that your proposal, your suggestion, to ensure that we do prevention in this country. Because the water left for our people to drink, it is very well known that it will damage the teeth of our children. I'm very lucky that I ran a brewery, and now I understand how this water needs to be treated. I know we built a plant that has produced the best water in this country. What does that tell? The Kenya government just needs to ensure that the water that our people drink meets the international standard. And the only thing they need to put up reverse osmosis equipment to ensure that that fluoride, it is taken care of, so that any time that our people are taking water is guaranteed. Just be, you're unlucky that you never settle in Naivasha, and the young senators like Eddie to settle in Naivasha and marry there, because half of your salary